Imagine surviving weeks of beatings in a foreign country, and one day deciding that if you can't escape, you will expose everything instead. Welcome back to Tatafo Express. This is part 3 of Sold by My Own Auntie to Rome. In part 1, Maria's mother sold her land and trusted her sister, Auntie Genevieve, to take Maria to Rome to chase her dream of becoming a doctor. In part 2, Maria arrived in that beautiful Italian house and discovered it was a market for women's bodies, controlled by the same auntie she trusted. Tonight, as Auntie Genevieve takes her to a salon for a makeover, Maria walks in looking like a powerless housegirl. But in her mind, she has already chosen the battlefield. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, pause now and go back so this moment can enter your chest properly. For everyone else, let's follow Maria as she steps out of that salon, walks into the middle of an Italian street, and turns her own body into living evidence. After that horrifying first night, Auntie Genevieve changed. Suddenly she was kind. She brought steaming jollof rice to Maria's room. For a whole week, no clients came. Maria was pampered, rested, fed. She started to hope. Maybe it was over. Maybe Auntie Genevieve had realized her mistake. Then, without warning, it ended. The clients came back. Some men beat her before they even touched her. They made her beg, scream, promise anything. When they were done, she lay there, bleeding. After each man, Auntie Genevieve appeared with pads and pills. "This is your life now," she said. "Choose to accept it." Something inside Maria snapped. Her mind floated above her own body, watching it being used, feeling nothing. That numbness became her only mercy, and the thing that would one day make her dangerous. Once every few weeks, Auntie Genevieve took the girls to Auntie Clara's salon for hair and nails, always in pairs, never alone. That day, when they arrived, Auntie Clara finished washing another girl's hair, then called Maria over. Her fingers moved through Maria's hair, gentle, practiced. Just like last time. "You look worse," Auntie Clara said. Not a question. Maria stayed silent. Water ran, shampoo foamed. Fingers worked through her hair, slow and deliberate. Auntie Clara didn't look at her, only at the sink, the water, her own hands. "You know where to find me," she said, voice low, almost swallowed by the noise of the salon. The same words as before, not a question, not an offer, a fact. Maria's throat tightened. She wanted to answer, to beg, to scream. But in the corner, Auntie Genevieve was watching. Auntie Clara reached for the towel. As she dried Maria's hair, she shifted, turning her shoulders just enough to block Auntie Genevieve's view of Maria's face. In that tiny gap of invisibility, Maria's lips moved. "Phone," she whispered, one word. Barely there. Auntie Clara didn't pause, didn't react. She just kept toweling, kept blocking, her face calm, unreadable. A month later, on their next visit to the salon, Maria's heart was racing, but her face stayed blank. As soon as they stepped inside, she said loudly, for everyone to hear, "Auntie Clara, I need to use the toilet." Exactly the kind of request a girl her age would make. Normal, harmless. Auntie Clara nodded without looking up, hands busy in another client's hair. Maria walked to the bathroom, closed the door. Her hands trembled. She lifted the toilet tank lid. Inside, a phone in a Ziploc bag, waiting. She took it out and slid it between her legs, deep where no one would find it. Her fingers shook. She forced them still. There was no bag. There was never a bag. Auntie Genevieve didn't allow it. Nothing hidden, nothing that suggested planning, but Maria's body was hers. And Auntie Genevieve couldn't search inside her. Maria left the bathroom and sat down like nothing had happened. That night in the dorm, the girls were in the common room, drinking and laughing. A rare pause from pain. Maria slipped into the bathroom. Empty. She locked the door. Her hand shook as she dialed. The line clicked. "Mama, it's me." Maria, is that—" The credit finished. Silence. Maria sat in the dark, phone in her hand. She had heard her mother's voice. That would have to be enough. The phone had a camera. That was what mattered now. Days turned into weeks. The routine never changed. Until that afternoon, Rebecca was on the sofa in the communal area when her body snapped. She fell, her back arched, her eyes rolled back, only white showing, a seizure. The screaming started instantly. One girl, then another. Aunty Genevieve flew past the office and ran upstairs, shouting into her phone. Maria stood very still. She felt the phone between her legs, heavy, waiting. While everyone watched Rebecca's jerking body, Maria moved. Down the stairs. The office door was open. On the desk, stacks of cash, passports in a pile, a black book, everything Aunty Genevieve didn't want seen. Maria's heart slammed against her ribs. She pulled out the phone. Her hands shook. Passports, photo, cash, photo, black book, photo, page, page, page. Each line in that book was a girl. Each girl had a price, numbers, codes, telephone numbers, footsteps, fast, coming down. Maria shoved the phone back between her legs. Deep. She grabbed the landline from the desk and held it to her ear, turning her body so her back faced the door. Aunty Genevieve appeared in the doorway. "What are you doing in my office?" Her voice was sharp. Maria's throat locked. Then she forced it open. "I want to call my mother." "What?" "I want to call my mother." Louder now. The desperation was real. "You said I could call her. You promised." Aunty Genevieve moved toward her. "Fast. You haven't let me speak to her. Not once. 6 months and nothing. She doesn't know if I'm alive." She ripped the landline from Maria's hand and slapped her so hard the world went white. When Maria's vision cleared, Aunty Genevieve was still there, breathing hard. Maria kept talking. She had to keep her focused on family, not on the office. "I am your sister's daughter," Maria said, voice cracking for real. "How could you do this to me? How could you be so wicked?" Aunty Genevieve raised her hand again, then froze. Something shifted. Not mercy, just distraction. The word wicked. The sister she had betrayed. The accusation. Her hand dropped. She stared at Maria. Then she shut the office door and grabbed Maria by the hair. Maria tore herself free. She ran, down the corridor, up the stairs, past the nurse bending over Rebecca, past the girls staring in confusion. She burst into her room, slammed the door, yanked the phone from between her legs, and shoved it under the mattress. Her hands were shaking, footsteps on the stairs, heavy, closer, the door flew open. "You witch! I will kill you today! You want to disgrace me?" The belt came hard and fast. "Systematic! You think you're clever?" Aunty Genevieve's voice was razor sharp. "You think you can betray me?" The belt came down again. "You want to become a doctor? Look at yourself, a prostitute, good for nothing." She laughed, a hard, jagged sound, as the belt found Maria's back, her thighs, her arms raised to shield her face. When she was done, she was breathing hard. She dragged Maria across the floor by her hair and threw her into the punishment room. Small, windowless, cold, no bed. "Think about what you are," she said. Then she locked the door. The first night darkness, complete. Her back was raw, her ribs screamed. The belt had left lines that burned. The phone was between her legs, hidden, safe. Hours passed, or minutes. Time was gone. She thought about her mother. That call. Maria, is that? Deadline. Her mother would never know she was here. The pain wouldn't let her sleep. She lay on the floor, every nerve on fire, and waited for morning. The second day. The door opened. Water, bread, pills. "You will sit here until you understand what you've done," Aunty Genevieve said. "You betrayed your own family." The door slammed. Maria drank the water, took the pills. The bread stuck in her throat. In the dark, something shifted. The panic loosened its grip. The pain shrank from a scream to a steady burn. She could think. Aunty Genevieve would never let her go, not out of mercy. Girls were inventory. Maria was an investment. The ledger, the passports, the cash. Every entry had a price. The third day, the door again, water, bread, no pills. Are you ready to apologize? Yes, Maria said. Auntie Genevieve stared at her. Measuring, then she left. In the dark, Maria saw it clearly. This was a test. Had the room broken her? Was it safe to let her out? Maria had to look finished. The fight had to disappear from her face, from her voice. So it would. The fourth day. Silence, then something inside her snapped into place. Not hope, not escape. The house was locked tight, doors, movement. Every girl watched, but something else was possible. She could burn it down. Not from here, from outside, after. The evidence was already there. The photos on the phone, the passports, the ledger, the cash, the client numbers. She could make it all undeniable. She didn't know how yet, but she knew this. She would rather be arrested, deported back to Benin. Anything but this. For the first time in months, she had a reason to live that wasn't just survival. Revenge, the fifth day. The lock turned. Auntie Genevieve stepped in. Are you ready? Maria looked up. Hollow eyes, empty face. Broken girl. Yes, she said, and she meant it, ready to crawl back into line, ready to wait, ready to burn everything down. When Auntie Genevieve let her out, she sent Maria straight to her room. Go wash, she said. You smell like fish. Maria walked to the dorm, outwardly calm, though her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She went to her bunk and lifted the mattress. The phone was there, hidden, safe, but dead. She needed a charger. Rebecca had one stashed inside her wig collection, a place Auntie Genevieve never checked. Little secrets like that kept the illusion of normal life breathing. Maria dug through the wigs until she found it, then returned to her bed and plugged the phone in beneath the mattress. She waited. 1%, 2. The battery crawled its way upward. At 20%, she pulled out the charger, switched on the phone, her heart racing. The photos were all there, the passports, the ledger, the cash, the office, proof. But she didn't put the phone back in her own bed. She slid it under Rebecca's mattress instead. Safer that way. A few hours later, a knock on the dorm door. The nurse stood there. Auntie Genevieve wants you downstairs. Maria followed. Auntie Genevieve was waiting. Her eyes moved over Maria's body. The weight she'd lost. The yellowing bruises on her chest, her back, her thighs. The stiff, broken way she walked. You're losing too much, Auntie Genevieve said. I can't sell you like this. She led Maria to another room. Clean, a real bed, white sheets, a private bathroom. This is recovery, Auntie Genevieve said. You eat, you rest, you heal. The nurse will be with you. Then she left. For a week, the nurse came twice a day. She cleaned Maria's wounds, rubbed ointment into her skin, wrapped bandages, food, real portions, medicine, for pain, for infection. It was the kindest treatment Maria had had in months. It terrified her, because she understood. This wasn't mercy, this was maintenance. Auntie Genevieve was rebuilding her, restocking her, getting her ready for the next round of men. But Maria had already chosen. She would not go back to what she was. She would eat, she would sleep, she would gain weight. Her wounds would close, her hair would thicken, her eyes would lose that wild, hunted look. She would let all of it happen, and she would let Auntie Genevieve believe it meant surrender. 7 days passed. Maria was quiet, obedient, apparently broken. On the 7th day, the door opened. Auntie Genevieve stepped in, looked her over like stock. She smiled. You're ready. Maria smiled back. Not because she believed, but because she was ready too. For something else entirely. The next day, after full recovery, Auntie Genevieve took Maria and Favor to the salon. It was business as usual. Auntie Clara washed her hair whilst Auntie Genevieve watched from the corner. Maria squeezed Auntie Clara's leg. Auntie Clara patted Maria whilst washing, all of this unobserved. There was something in Maria's expression as she looked up. A decision made, a line crossed. When her hair was done, Maria stood and looked at her reflection. Without a word, she ran to the door, opened it, and stepped onto the pavement. It happened so fast. Auntie Genevieve stood up and shouted, "Maria, get back here now. If I catch you, I'm going to kill you." But Maria was already on the pavement, walking away. She didn't look back. She couldn't look back. A few meters away, she stopped. Her hands moved quickly, pulling off her top, then her bottoms, before Auntie Genevieve could reach her. Auntie Genevieve froze, watched from the doorway. For a moment, she didn't understand what she was seeing. Then it hit her. The bruises, the scars, everything laid bare on the street in broad daylight. The afternoon was busy. People walking, traffic moving, the usual noise of a Wednesday afternoon. She had planned this moment for weeks, lying in the recovery room, deciding how and when. For months, her body had been a commodity, something to be used, sold, and controlled by others. In the villa, in those beautiful rooms, she was forced to be naked before men who paid to humiliate her naked body, and after they were done, she was forced to hide, to cover up, to be invisible, to pretend nothing had happened. Now she was choosing to expose her body, not as a commodity, but as a weapon. She took off her clothes, stood there, completely exposed. Her hands shook. Her breath came in shallow gasps. Every instinct screamed at her to cover herself, to disappear the way she'd learned to disappear. But she forced herself to stay still. The bruises covered her back, her chest, her thighs. Scars, burns. Everything visible, the very evidence of what had been done to her in those rooms was now public and undeniable. She was taking the shame and making it a testimony. She was taking the violation and making it evidence. The irony was brutal. The very thing that had been used to exploit her, her exposed body, was now the thing that would destroy Auntie Genevieve. A teenage boy on a scooter nearly hit her, swerved, stared, then kept going. An older woman with shopping bags stopped dead, her mouth opening, but nothing coming out. "Help me," Maria said. Her voice was flat, almost empty, worse than screaming. Nothing. No one moved, she spoke louder. "I am imprisoned. Please, help me." The tourists understood immediately. A German woman pulled out her phone and started recording. A man in his 50s, well-dressed, stared at the scars on her back. His expression changed. He raised his phone too. The older woman stepped forward with a cardigan. "No," Maria said, stepping back. "Please, call the police." She couldn't let them shield her. They wanted to hide her shame. But her shame was her weapon now. More phones appeared. Someone with a professional camera crossed the street. A siren sounded in the distance. Not yet for her, but it shifted the air. This wasn't just a scene anymore. It was an incident. A businessman dialed 112. "There is a naked girl near the salon. She says she is imprisoned. I'm recording this." The crowd grew, not aggressive, just present, everyone watching, everyone recording. She was being seen now, not as a commodity, not as something to consume, but as evidence, as a victim, as someone who needed help. A suited man stepped closer. "Who did this to you?" "My auntie," Maria said. "Auntie Genevieve." She pointed toward the salon window. Auntie Genevieve stood there, motionless, watching everything collapse, watching the control she'd held slip away. The cameraman turned and zoomed in on her face. The sirens were closer now. Maria stayed where she was, bare, unhidden. The phone hidden under Rebecca's mattress no longer mattered. The evidence was standing in daylight, recorded by dozens of phones. It wasn't about reclaiming innocence or dignity. It was darker than that. It was about taking the weapon used against her and turning it around. A tourist approached with a scarf. "Stop," Maria said. "Wait for the police. I want the evidence to remain." Inside the salon, Auntie Genevieve vanished from the window. Traffic pulled aside as the sirens cut through. Maria breathed hard. She didn't cry, she didn't scream. She simply stood there, visible, recorded, undeniable. in control, finally, of the one thing they'd tried to take from her. On that Wednesday afternoon, Auntie Genevieve lost the one thing she cared about more than money: control of the story. But exposing the truth in public is only the first battle. Join us for the concluding part of this story. Where are you viewing from? If this story held your attention, please like and subscribe for more stories like this.